Chapettes, and welcome back to the realm of gods with Mythic Battles Pantheon. Yes, this is going to be my first impression segment of everything that I want to talk about what I've played with the prototype that I have. Okay, if you don't know anything about Mythic Battles and you stumbled onto this video by mistake, you can click, where shall I put it? I'll put a little video link there so you can go and click on it there. And up the top here, I will put a Kickstarter link so you can go and look at the Kickstarter and see all the other things that they have to offer, see all the other videos, talk to the designers. You can find out so much stuff about this game, it's incredible. And that's what this video is about. This is my first impressions of Mythic Battles, which is going to be, I think, a 4-player maximum game where players are playing as gods. They will control a god and an army of heroes and monsters and troops and maybe some titans, and they will be doing quests, or they will just be beating each other over the head with clubs. Yes, yes. So let's talk about this game. I'm going to sip this a sec. So, Mythic Battles Pantheon is a board game that minis enthusiasts are going to love. And I'm not just talking mini enthusiasts. If you're a Magic the Gathering kind of fan, you're going to love it as well. If you're a Heroescape or HeroClix kind of fan, you're going to like this as well. This game is beautiful to start with. Let me just start by talking about the artwork. The art is, as you can see, and I'll put some pictures up on the screen as well at the same time, is very, very attractive and very, very reminiscent of the Greek mythology that I know. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of Medusa here, and it just, Clash of the Titans all over the game. I just love that kind of era of storytelling, the Greek mythology, and it really kind of conveys that art brilliantly. On the boards that I've seen, they also convey so much detail. There's so many little pieces and bits and bobs scattered around the board. You can make your own story, and I think that's what they're trying to do with this system, is you can develop your own story or your own scenarios with it, much like old Conan up the top there, very much in the same vein. Let's move from the art to the minis. The minis are very, 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 very extremely detailed minis, okay? People were complaining that the minis in Conan weren't that good. And yet someone like Sam Healey says that these are the best minis that he's ever seen. Which makes me think, wow, if they're the best minis he's ever seen, what's he going to think of these? These minis are fantastic. These are even better quality and better detail than the Conan ones. I saw the guys, Leonardus and Benoit and Erwin, at Essen this year, and I looked at their booth and I looked at all the detail in the plastics that they were using. Leonardus went into some depth about the new plastic they're using. They're not using this plastic here, which bends like this. They're using a plastic which is as thin as that, but solid. There'll be no bendy swords, there'll be no bendy staffs, and they will be detailed like you've never seen before. And I have seen it. I can't remember if it's that kind of scale quality or better, but it was really, really impressive. And then I saw the painted minis as well, and they were even more impressive. And I saw a Titan, and I thought, my God, you can see so much detail. You know, like the way you see detail on like the new Thor costume or the new Spider-Man costume, the amount of detail, it's like that on the mini. It's incredible. The minis are fantastic, and I can't remember how many minis are going to come with the game, but there's going to be a lot anyway, especially for a Kickstarter, because you're going to get all the Kickstarter exclusives and bonus. And so that kind of makes the value of the price really good. He said reaching over. And obviously there's going to be little sculptures like these broken columns, and I think there's going to be some trees and some rocks. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure there's going to be some scenery that you can add. I know there's some scenery that come in the base game, some cardboard trees. They look okay, but I mean, these columns look so much better, and I'm sure they look excellent when they're painted. And again, that could be first generation prototype there. So minis, fantastic. Let's jump to a very important thing, the rules, okay? Now, one thing I'm not worried about is the rule book, okay? I was quite surprised when I saw the rule book for Conan, and obviously this game is from Monolith as well, so I want to kind of calm you all down that I believe the rule book is going to be perfect, okay? I've printed out, this is what the guys sent me from Mythic Games and Monolith. This is a 38 pages of rules and bits and pieces. And when I played this game with my friends, there were questions. Of course there were questions. You know, can I do this? Can I do that? And everything that I needed to know was in these pages. Yeah, some of it was a bit hard to find because it's not really well organized and there's no images. But everything I needed to know was in this rule book. Okay, if you have a question about the rules right now, you could probably write down in this video, Barry, what happens if you do this? Can you do that? And I will be able to flick through this and I will be able to tell you. Okay, the rules are very, very, very simple. It's this simple card-driven combat game where you are going to be strategically using your cards at the right moment to move around the board. And the card system is simple. You draw a card and you possibly play a card. And the cards don't have any text on them. They don't have anything. The rules apply to these cards like, you know, you don't even need to know. You just look at it and you go, okay, this is this card and I can do this, that, and that with it. Very, very simple. The structure of the board layout and the scenery could be anything that you want it to be. And obviously with the scenarios and the things that they're going to put in the rulebook, everything is going to make sense. Like in the trees you can hide, okay? Behind the column you can duck. All makes sense. The rules are very, very simple to learn. Okay, I probably did my video explanation a bit too long, but that's how I normally explain the game when I'm sat down one-on-one explaining how this game works. But the rules are simple and they have some fantastic gameplay and mechanism elements. Let me talk about them. The gameplay is very, very solid. It is a solid game. I can't find any faults in it. I could not suggest, oh, why don't you try and do this with that? And this game is just, it's built. And let's go back in time a bit. This game was originally called Mythic Battles and it was produced by Yellow. And it was the same kind of game. It was a deck-driven game, but the thing is there were no minis. It was all tokens and they were moving along a board, and that board was like a checkered board, you know, chessboard. And so it was quite easy to plan out your movements and move around and go do that. This removes the chessboard element entirely. This adds scenery and effects that will happen with the scenery, and obviously adds minis, but it's technically the same game. So this game has been worked on for a very, very long time, and as I said, it is a very solid gameplay mechanic. That being said, this game is going to appeal to you Magic the Gatherer players, you Syrinscape and HeroClix players, and anyone who just likes minis. And probably to you Conan players as well, because there is a tie-in with Conan in here. But I'll talk about that a bit later. You have, as I said, a very simple card system. Okay, you're going to be putting cards into a deck from the characters that you choose, and maybe some active war cards. And you are just basically on your turn drawing one card into your hand. And therein lies a strategy. Do you play several cards to activate several units to do many, many different things, or to get more cards into your hand? Or do you just play very slowly, maybe one card at a time? You know, will you whittle your hand down to nothing? Very much like in a Magic game, or for me, Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I've always wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And actually play the card and the monster actually appears. And you do this in this game. You go, Zeus, I call Zeus. And there he is on the board. Right, Zeus, kill! Yes, brilliant, kind of fun mechanic. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! version 10. And the other really interesting thing about the deck is, do you burn through it to get those cards that you want, to activate those people and do those things that you want to do. Because if you burn through your deck and you have to get a new deck because of your discard pile, you're going to give yourself 3 new cards in your hand, but you're also going to give your opponent a bucket load of cards because they're going to take their deck and they're going to take 3 cards from their new deck, and they're going to have lots of possibilities to kick your ass. And that is a really, really interesting strategy to look at. Should you burn through, or should you just keep pace with the other player so they don't get an advantage or one up on you? And that can really turn the game around. Again, playing a 2-player game, normally after you've gone through your deck and you reshuffle, the game comes pretty quickly to a climax within that round, within that time with the deck. And so for a 2-player game, you're looking at about an hour for a game, and if you're playing a 4-player game, I can imagine it's a bit longer. Okay, then you have this mechanic of, it's gone from my head. Each character has like a hero click space, and you're not going to have a hero click space like this. You're going to have a sheet with a slider, and as your character gets injured, you're going to get weaker. Maybe your defense gets weaker quickly, and then maybe your attacks get weaker, and then maybe your movement gets weaker. And that is a fun kind of mechanic for me in a game, because like Conan, the less energy you got, the less actions you can do. I always hated playing a game, say for Descent or something, and you've got this monster and it's got 15 hit points, and when it attacks you with 6 dice. And even when you've got it down to 1 last hit point, it's still attacking you with 6 dice. And it's like, that's not logic. You know, to have a weaker monster when it's been damaged a lot is logical. And that is one fantastic element about this. And having the player sheet will be better than having this disc and having the special powers marked on the back, logically, because it's there and you can see it. The other great thing is this dice rolling mechanic for the combat. You have the exploding 5s, which gives you, it's not just chance then. You're rolling the dice, there's a bit of chance there with the dice, but then you manipulate that chance by, I was going to say a French word, ajouting, lifting the number on your dice up by removing a dice from your pool. And every dice that you remove, you can add one on. And then you've got a decision of, wow, should I just boost that up to the defense level so I can actually guarantee a hit? Or should I just bump them up to 5s and then roll them again to see if I can get higher and do more damage that way? It's a great system. It adds an element of fun. It kind of takes you out of the game a bit, you know, because 1 minute you're concentrating on what's on the board and what's in your hand, but then you've got this side thing over here, the dice. You know, it'd be nice to have like maybe a little dice tray which comes in the game. But hopefully the dice in the game will be big, chunky things and not those little piddly things that I have. But that combat system, fantastic. I would love to see that in more games. And the scenery, come on, scenery in a scenario and its effects on people. That works. It works in Syrinscape. Yeah, you know, you go into the bog, your character instantly ends their movement. You go in the forest, you've got extra protection. Love it. Fantastic game mechanic. How does the game feel? I can only talk for the 2-player skirmish. For me personally, the game feels kind of stagnant on the board sometimes. There's these moments where you and another player are just going boomp on the head and boomp on the head, and all of a sudden you haven't got the cards to activate that character, and you have to activate another character or do nothing that turn apart from draw. So there are moments when the board is not actually moving. Sometimes there's those moments where the other player will move a lot due to the fact that they've got good cards in their hand and you unfortunately haven't got the cards that you want in your hand. But there is that, you can use your active war card to draw the card that you want from the deck, which is always a helpful thing. And so the board feels a bit stagnant for me. I prefer the movement in other games like Descent and Conan. There's a lot more moving going on, there's a lot more concentration. But the thing is, you're not concentrating on the board the whole time. You've got your hand of cards, and you're concentrating on what you're doing there. And you're looking at these cards and you're going, okay, I've already used 3 Zeus, I've only got 1 left. What should I activate him now and swallow that Omphalos, or should I just... There's all these kind of things going through your head. The feeling of the game is, it is very light, and it, at the same time, it is strategically deep. You can do so many things just in this little kind of skirmish. You could just send your god round and eat all the Omphalos, or you could just send all your monsters onto their god and kick their ass, or you could send your guys around to pick up the Omphalos and bring them to your god so he can eat them, or you can just hide in the forest, just put the Cerberus in the forest and he can be peeing against a tree. Whatever. There are so many little things that you can do, and I am very curious to find out how the scenarios in the campaign work. The campaign is going to be like a selection of scenarios, and you'll be able to do one thing in one scenario, which might pay off in another scenario, which might affect another scenario. So that's what I've been told, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But that I'm looking forward to, is playing like a big kind of little, or a small little arc. The gameplay doesn't last that long. When we've played it for about an hour and a half, but you have to bear in mind that when we play this is the first time I play it with guys, and it's like their first time. And so after the rules explanation, there's these stop and start moments where we have to look at the powers, and there are a lot of special powers, and then you have to remember what they do, and then re-look in the rule book for them, and then you've got the skills. There is a lot of memorizing the powers and the skills. That takes up a lot of time in your first game. So I would advise, if you're playing with your first game, because we played with a 12-point army, probably play with a smaller size army to start with. Maybe that should be something that's written in the rulebook. Start with an 8-point army or a 6-point army, just so players can get used to some of the skills like blocking, leader, guardian, all those kind of things, and also the special powers as well, because it all takes a bit of time to sink in. And I can see this game running up to about an hour long when you know those powers and you're playing with guys that have played it many times before. But apart from the slowness of the first couple of games and the stagnantness of the board, there's not much I can criticize. It is kind of like a 3-part game. You've got your cards, you've got the board, and you've got the dice. They're like 3 different levels. One of those levels might take you out of the game. One of those, or none of them will. It'll all just be part of a conglomerate kind of amalgamation of mechanics, which make you feel that this game is just so deep and intense. Now you may be wondering about the price. It's $99 for the base game. Is that too much? I would say no. I mean, if you look at what came in Conan in the base set for $99, that is a good chunk of stuff. And with all the figurines, with all the scenarios, I think there's like 59 scenarios going to be in Mythic Battles. Plus you can play it as a skirmish, and you can play it not just 1-on-1, you can play 2 against 1, you can play 3 against 1, you can play 2 against 2, you can play all against all. And that I am looking forward to, because it felt a little bit restricted in Conan. In Conan you've got scenarios where it's just one overlord and set amount of heroes. And you can only do a certain amount of scenarios with a certain amount of players. You know, you can only do 4 scenarios with a 3-player game, for example. But with this, it feels a bit more infinite, and obviously with the drafting of your characters and the heroes and the gods, that will just open up the game immensely. So you could play the same scenario or the same campaign many times, but with different player counts, and then with different gods, and then with different heroes. And you could have infinite replayability, a lot more replayability than in Conan, for example. So let's stick with Conan for the end of this. Okay, this game is going to be tied in a little bit with Conan. Now, I don't know to what extent you'll be able to tie your Conan game into this. I know that they've released a tile so you can have skeletons in Conan, which is great. And obviously the boards are going to be about the same size, and they are kind of like the same kind of design and layout. So there may be a chance that there'll be some scenarios which use for Conan that you can use in Mythic Battles, and then vice versa. There'll be some boards that you can use for Mythic Battles that you can play in Conan. And obviously the miniatures are going to be probably about the same size. They look the same size. So it might be really interesting to see if they do like player cards for the tiles for Cerberus, so you'll be able to put Cerberus in Conan, or be able to put Thog in Mythic Battles and have it like a Conan army against a Greek god army. It would be very interesting. But as I said, I don't know a lot apart from what I've seen and what I've heard. But that is another good reason to probably get this game. Because of the Conan tie-in. Now, I'm not a big skirmish fan. I'm not a great strategist, so that kind of thing kind of appeals to me, but not so much. I'd rather play Heroescape, because we can just make up any story. We can make terrain, do whatever we want. But this is going to be a bit more constricted. You'll have scenarios and terrains, and that'll be it, and then you just play them as a skirmish. The scenarios and the campaigns is going to be more my cup of tea. I love the scenarios in Conan. They're just so good, even though you're playing the same one over and over again. There's so many different things that happen, and different players will play different heroes differently. It's a different world. Seriously. But I really enjoy the fact that this game is going to be a bit more open-ended, and there's going to be a lot more things that you can do. So for me, it's a definite must. For anyone who's got Conan, anyone who likes Magic, anyone who likes Heroescape and HeroClix, this is a definite, and anyone that likes minis. Come on, you like minis, you're going to get this game. There you go. So I'm going to finish off by saying that these guys haven't paid me for this, okay? This is me talking from here, from Kermit's Eye. This is a good game. If it interests you, go and check it out on Kickstarter. As I said, there's the Kickstarter logo thing there. Click on it and go there, check it out, maybe finance it, or just follow it, see how it's going, and see if there's anything there that interests you. If not, there are plenty of other games that will come along. Surely there will be other games. And eventually this game will probably come onto the market as well. So you'll be able to hear in the future people's reviews of this game, if it's good or not, and you can pick it up then. But these guys really need your help to get as much of this content out and to spread the word as much as possible. So check out Mythic Battles Pantheon. If it interests you, good stuff. I'm going around in circles now. I'm going to start leaving, because otherwise I'm going to have a 12-inch remix of this video to edit. Yes, 12-inch remix. Do you remember them 12-inch remixes? That was way back in the days when Zeus was fighting Hermocles. Hermocles? Or am I thinking of Futurama? But anywho, thanks for watching, guys. I hope I've pointed you in the right direction of the games to get. And I will say ciao for now. And remember, play nice, and you don't have to buy every single board game out there. Just own a few good ones. They are the right way around, aren't they? Yeah. Hello, chappets. How you doing? Have you ever sat and wondered what the meaning of life is? Well, for some people, it's plain old 42. But for other people, it is a referendum. No? But anywho, doesn't matter what you believe the meaning of life to be. The thing is, we are all in pursuit of happiness. And I'm in pursuit of getting this right on the first take. $28 for the 4 days.
Wow.
That's it.
It's a bargain.
Just go, for the love of God, people, just go. Eston Gen Con, get there.
Yeah, and then you can feel as sick as Jamie does.
You can walk away with all the bacterial diseases.
That's why all the Americans, whenever you saw an American, they would fist pump you.
Well, this is Eric Martin. It's not fist pump, Barry. That's not what you're thinking of. But it's actually Eric Martin.